Okay, so let's dive into this. Finding a life partner, someone really compatible, it's tough, right?
Oh, definitely.
Mm.
Especially if you're busy, you know what you want, and the whole dating app thing just feels, well, endless.
Endless swiping, yeah. It can really wear you down. But imagine if there was a more systematic way, almost like engineering a better chance at finding your person.
And that's pretty much what we're exploring today. There's this thing called the Piccadilly Method.
Right, the Piccadilly Method.
Yeah, and it's specifically for people who, have a good sense of what they're looking for. It's not just another app, it's structured,
Yeah,
a system.
a system. Okay. So today, we're really going to unpack the Piccadilly Method. We've got sources explaining how it works, the ideas behind it, who does what.
Exactly. It's about getting intentional, moving beyond just hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm. And our mission here, for you listening, is to figure out what this method actually is. How does it work? Could it be a useful tool if you're looking for something serious and don't want to get bogged down in, well, superficial stuff?
Right. Avoiding that whole overwhelming feeling.
So tell me, what's the absolute core idea, the philosophy behind it all?
Well, the main thing, looking at the sources, is this sort of two-step idea. First, use your head. Use reason to filter out people who are clearly not a match.
Okay, logic first.
Right. Weed out the mismatches early. And then, once you have that smaller group of potentials, that's when you let your heart choose.
Interesting. So head, then heart.
Exactly. And a big part of that head part is figuring out what you don't want. What are the deal breakers? Define those first.
Ah, so you avoid getting emotionally caught up with someone who's just fundamentally not right for you in the long run.
Precisely. It's about setting those non-negotiables up front. It forces a kind of self-reflection that, honestly, a lot of dating skips over.
That makes sense. You know what won't work before you even get invested.
Saves a lot of time. And potential heartache, presumably.
Okay, so theory is one thing. How does it actually work in practice? The sources mentioned like two main ways to use it.
Yeah, two main paths. You can either sort of put yourself out there to be found, or you can actively search for someone yourself.
Let's start with the first one. Being available to be found. What does that involve?
Okay, so that starts with filling out a form. And this isn't just, what's your favorite movie?
Hmm.
It's really detailed.
How detailed are we talking?
Super detailed. Values, priorities, personality quirks, background, life goals,
Mm,
the works. It's designed to get a full picture.
right. Digging deep. And your contact info, is that public?
No, that's kept private. There's this thing called the assistant part AI, part facilitator, I guess, that manages all the contact
Your
details.
assistant. Okay, got it.
So if someone else using the system sees your profile, your anonymous profile, remember, and they're interested,
Uh-huh.
the AI assistant lets you know, then you get to look at their profile. And it's not just their answers. The AI gives you assessments too.
AI assessments. Like what?
Well, psychological profiles, personality insights, based on how they answered everything. Plus, a compatibility analysis, how you stack up against them on, like, dozens of different points.
Wow. Okay. So it's crunching the data for potential issues or synergies.
Exactly. It highlights where you align, where there might be friction. Then, armed with all that, you decide if you want the AI assistant to connect you.
So consent is key.
Absolutely. Informed consent based on a lot more than just a photo.
Okay, that's the being found pass. What about the other way, actively searching?
Right, the proactive rest. So you get access to the database of other candidates. Again, no names, no contact info, just nicknames.
Nicknames. Okay, so everyone's anonymous.
Yep. And you can browse all their detailed answers, everything they put in the form.
That sounds like potentially a lot of information to sift through. How do you manage that?
Well, the system lets you filter manually. You can actually, like, rearrange the data, prioritize the answers to questions that matter most to you.
Oh, interesting. So if, say, views on finances are critical for you, you can bring that data point to the front.
Exactly. You focus on what's crucial for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like the other path, you can pull up those AI analyses for anyone who looks promising. And compatibility scores, personality stuff.
You get the same level of insight.
You do. Then, if you find someone, maybe Wanderer 7, who seems like a great match based on all this,
Uh-huh.
you tell the assistant you're interested in Wanderer 7. The assistant then tells Wanderer 7, hey, someone's interested.
And then?
And only if Wanderer 7 says they're also interested in checking you out and potentially connecting, then the AI assistant facilitates sharing contact details.
Gotcha. So it's a two-way street. Mutual agreement needed before any actual contact happens.
Preserve privacy, manages expectations.
This AI assistant really seems like the linchpin here. It's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, the coordination.
Totally. It's the central hub for communication, the gatekeeper of privacy, the intermediary. It makes the whole process work without revealing identities too soon.
And the quality of all this relies heavily on that initial form, right? The questions themselves must be pretty important.
Oh, absolutely critical. The form is the foundation. If the questions are bad, the data is bad, the matches are bad.
So what makes these questions special? How are they designed?
Uh, The idea is to get honest, nuanced answers. Not just what people think they should say. They try to avoid leading questions.
Can you give an example?
Sure, like instead of asking point blank, are you lazy? Which most people would just say no to, right?
Yeah, probably.
They might pose a scenario, something like, it's Saturday afternoon, you have free time, but a work idea pops into your head. What do you typically do? The answer reveals more about initiative and work ethic, but indirectly.
Ah, clever. More subtle.
Exactly. Or another example they gave was about work hours. They apparently don't include like super extreme options like 100 hours a week because they found it just encourages people to exaggerate. They want realistic answers.
So it's designed to get genuine self-reporting.
That's the goal. Yeah. Because that genuine data fuels both the AI analysis and your own filtering.
Makes sense. The sources also listed a few different documents involved. Could you quickly run through those?
Sure. There's the main form, obviously, that everyone fills out. Then there are two Google Sheets acting as databases.
Okay.
One is private, restricted access, holds the contact details. That's for the AI assistant. The other is sort of public within the system for seekers to browse.
Mhm.
But that one has no contact info, just the nicknames and the answers.
Right, the anonymous one.
Yep. And then there are some supporting documents just explaining the method, FAQs, that kind of thing.
And I saw the term soulmate network. What's that about? Is it different from the Piccadilly method?
It's basically the Piccadilly method applied to a specific group. So imagine a community, maybe a professional organization, or people with a very specific shared interest or background.
Okay.
If that group decides to use the Piccadilly method just for its members, that closed system is called a soulmate network.
Ah, so it creates a kind of walled garden, a more focused pool of candidates who already share some common ground.
Exactly. The idea being that the pre-existing commonality might increase the chances of finding a compatible match within that network.
Interesting. Okay, so to be really clear for listeners, what is this method not for? Where would it be the wrong tool?
Good question. It's definitely not for casual dating, not for finding friends, not for just like emotional support buddies.
Strictly for finding a life partner.
Yes, explicitly.
Hmm.
The goal is serious, committed relationships, potentially marriage, family, and it's also not for you if you're not really sure what you want yet.
Right, you need that clarity going in.
You do. And it's not a traditional matchmaker service where someone else does all the work and picks people for you.
Yeah.
You have to be actively involved in filtering and deciding.
So very much for proactive, intentional seekers.
That sums it up well.
Now, there's apparently a story behind why this was created, something quite personal.
Yeah, it's actually quite touching. The creator was apparently motivated by seeing the pain caused by bad relationships, maybe from personal experience, and wanted to help others avoid that.
Mm.
And they drew inspiration from traditional Jewish matchmaking principles, focusing on shared values, compatibility, and also this idea of like praying for the community's needs. The spirit being, if you help others find happiness, it benefits everyone, including yourself.
That's a really nice philosophy behind it.
It is. And the name, Piccadilly Method, is
Yeah.
named after the creator's grandfather, Pepe Piccadilly.
Oh, wow. That adds a layer of meaning.
Definitely connects the systematic approach back to a very human, very personal motivation.
Okay, one last clarification, the roles. We've mentioned seeker, candidate, nickname. Can you just lock those down for us?
Sure. A seeker is someone actively using the system to search for a partner.
Okay.
A candidate is anyone who has filled out the form and is in the database available to be found. Many people are both at the same time, obviously.
Right, searching and being searchable.
Exactly. And the nickname is just that anonymous identifier used in the database so people can browse profiles without seeing real names or contact info initially.
Got it. Crystal clear. So, if we were to boil it all down, what's the real hook? Why consider this method?
I think the core appeal is it's a structured, really thoughtful way to tackle finding a partner. It uses detailed info, some AI smarts, and focuses on mutual consent to hopefully boost the odds of finding someone genuinely compatible.
While respecting your time and emotional energy.
Exactly. It's trying to be efficient and effective in a domain that's often messy and unpredictable.
It really circles back to that head first then heart idea. Be rational, filter intelligently, then let the feelings come into play.
Precisely. Avoid the obvious mismatches from the start. It's a very different approach than just, diving in based on initial chemistry alone.
So, a final thought for you listening. Think about it. What if you really sat down, defined what you truly need and want and what you don't want in a life partner, and then used a system, a structured way to evaluate potential matches based on that? How might that change your search?
Yeah, could that kind of intentionality combined with this sort of data-driven approach,
Yeah.
could that be something that resonates with how you want to find your person? It's definitely
Oh,
something to chew on.